Okay, so when I do my readings, there's a couple of core concepts that I keep repeating, and I thought I'd do some like little videos that help explain these core ideals as simply as I could possibly put it for the way that I understand it. So one of the ideals that I talk about a lot is, you know, the difference between soulmates and twin flames, and I wanted to see if I could you know, describe these, you know, what I'm trying to put into my readings, describe them with some drawings to give as much understanding to the way that I'm reading energy as we possibly can. So, bear with me, we're going to whiteboard it and just see if we can come up with some you know, illustrations that help sort of, you know, cement the ideals more about how twin flames operate versus soulmates. And I'm going to, you know, some of these ideals won't be twin flame specific. They'll just be energy and higher consciousness. But for those who are particularly interested in twin flames, I wanted to go through a couple of concepts that are really keen. So one I often talk about is that how twin flames have the same soul blueprint. And I wanted to see if we could do a little bit of a diagram of how I see it as being different from soulmates. So let's assume for a second that this is divine consciousness up here, right? Divine consciousness, the creator that has all and everything at their fingertips for creation. Now, what is the creator's playground? What is the divine playground? It's the quantum sea, which is endless. So I should really draw it completely off the page, right? It has like endless and infinite potential. It is just latent energy waiting to be turned into something. And as our divine creator has potential to work with the quantum sea, so do we. But that's for another day. This is about twin flames today. So what the quantum sea is latent potential, energy laying, waiting. It's waiting for consciousness to turn it into something. It needs a force applied to it for it to become something. And when that force is applied to it is when we start to understand things that are quote unquote real in our world. So let's look at twin flames. In this quantum sea, let's say, for example, that we're going to lock ourselves in on one little pool of water, right? Here we are, we're the divine. We want to create something. We're going to focus in on this little pool of water. And within the pool of water, there's, you know, more of this going on. There's energy traveling back and forth, and there's, you know, points with which to apply consciousness to create what it is the divine is focusing on. So here comes the divine with an ideal of what he wants to, he, she, however you perceive that. I'll probably say he more often than not. Comes in with an ideal to go, righto, I want to apply my conscious thought to this point in the quantum sea, and with that, I want to create a human being. So out of the quantum sea comes form once consciousness is applied. And I will use stick figures. My art degree is coming in really handy here, isn't it? Right, human number one has its own soul energy field that remains connected to the all and the everything. You know, it's like you have electricity traveling down the wire. You are not disconnected from the divine just because you have now become matter. You come from energy, you will return to energy. But whilst you're in this form, you will have your own energetic blueprint that says this is you, right? One consciousness applied to one part of the quantum sea forms one human vessel with an individual soul blueprint. Righto. Let's look at what he does next. The divine he, she goes, I want to create again from that same energy point. So here, I'm going to create, and what do I want to create? I want to create another human. I'm going to form another human being over here and go, yoo-hoo, righto, human is formed. This human again has their own blueprint that is there. It's drawn from this point of energy with higher consciousness applied. So we'll apply that higher consciousness again, that spirit of life, or that energy that brings us forth and, you know, keeps us connected. We are always connected to the divine, and we are always connected to the all and everything, this whole quantum field. So even if the point of origin is over here for the next human being, because we're all derived out of that quantum sea, you would still be connected to this person. Are they formed over here? You would still be connected to this person. But what you will feel, because you're close in origin to this point, is that you'll feel a familiarity in the way this person vibes. The way the frequencies are traveling around them, you'll feel a familiarity. They will feel like home, because essentially you both come from the same place, the same point of origin. All right? So let's then have a look at what happens when the divine says, I'm going to take that original scoop of energy, right? And instead of forming one vessel from it, I'm going to form two, right? I'm going to form two. So into this energy, to create from this original, there's a split, positive and negative, or masculine and feminine, however, ones and zeros, depending on where you sit in this space. And in this split, you now have two humans from that one source energy, right? Okay, so you've got two that are sharing that same energy blueprint. But when you look at this too, like they're sharing the same energy. It's not close, it's not nearby, it's none of the above. It's the same. It's the same blueprint. It comes from the same point of origin. And what you'll notice is that both of these guys will feel like they resonate with other soulmates. So this connection from here to here, I would view as a soulmate connection. And this connection in here, I would view as a twin flame connection. Clear as mud? Hope it helps just a little bit. Okay, so this concept is an extension on the same idea, but just viewed from a slightly different perspective. So we're going to put source in the middle of everything here, right? And we're going to call the divine as if it's an electrical company, right? And its number one job is to supply higher consciousness to everything and everyone ever in existence. And we're going to say, divine, you've got to split and divide and split and divide and split and divide and keep going, and you've got to provide higher consciousness to everyone and everything that's ever been in existence. So here they are. They're like the electric company, right? We're going to assume electricity as divine source, and we're going to divvy it up. So here we go. The divine's gone, righto. First off, I'm going to send it out to all maybe different planets. But yeah, let's have it. First, we're going to go different planets, right? We're going to send out all of that divine energy out to different planets, different spaces across the universe. And then here, over on this one, we're going to go, okay, planet Earth, I got you. I'm going to send this energy out to planet Earth. Now, planet Earth, you've got to send this energy out to all the countries on the planet, right? You've got to distribute it across to all of the planets. It's got to go everywhere. Everyone's got to receive it. So then planet Earth goes, well, I'm going to divvy that up amongst all the countries and keep sending that energy out everywhere. So the countries then go, well, we're going to send it out to all of our states or all of our regions. So we divvy up that energy again. We're going to send it all out to all our states and all our regions, and we're going to break that energy down a little bit more. And then we're going to go out to all the states and all the regions. We're going to split again, and we're going, let's send it to all of our capital cities. Hey, let's send it out to all of the cities and make sure that all of the cities get. Now, all of these divides are happening over here too, right? Don't forget, all of this splitting is happening on every facet. So this tree that's happening here It's happening out over here too. We're having all this dividing going on. It's endless, the way the universe divides and creates, right? So from the cities over here on planet Earth, we're going to divide it out to our country town, or to our towns. So here we go, we're going to send it out to the towns, and clearly I'm not dividing them equally and evenly to go to the towns. It's just the principle of the idea that energy splits and divides and keeps sharing. Then from the town, we're going to send this energy down the wire till it finally gets to your neighborhood. Right? Here's your neighborhood. And let's use the magic universal number of 12 for the people that live in your neighborhood. And let's give them all a house, right? A house or a human body. But for the purpose of the exercise, the electric company provides houses with electricity, and for it to finally get to you, it's had to do its divide. And remember, all these are dividing too. These are going a million different ways. I could completely fill this page with the divisions. I hope you get where I'm going with that, till it finally gets to you and your neighborhood. So this energy is traveled down the wire, 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 down the wire. You get the picture, till you finally get a line that comes into your neighborhood, right? And then from the line that comes into your neighborhood, it is going to disperse into each of these houses, all right? But by the time it's got to this split and this frequency, you guys are all enjoying what feels like this final divide of what this energy looks like, right? So you're all in the neighborhood, and the way that the divine energy has come into this neighborhood, here's the port that it enters the neighborhood, and it will divide amongst all the houses that plug into that point. Or let's look at it as all the people that plug into this point. Now, in that first description, I described human vessels who had one soul energy and one human body. I had them colored in pink. So let's add all of the pink energies into this neighborhood, all right? These are all the souls that have moved into this neighborhood that are enjoying one soul blueprint for one human body, right? One soul blueprint, one human body. But here we go, over here, and we've got our twin flame scenario, where the split that has occurred here is our twin flame couple in our green color. Can you see how this is working? How all of these energies, they're all getting like an energy source supplied to them, and you live in like a neighborhood of energy. So there'll be a number of people who come down to this and live in the neighborhood that you do, that will be sharing this final distribution of energy with you, right? So again, we're talking about points of origin, but we're trying to look at it from different points of view. So the divine is gone. This is the neighborhood you disperse from. From here's your point of origin of electricity, and I'm going to send it out in this example 12 different ways, so that this group is receiving that last split, and it will be very, very familiar amongst you all. But do you notice how the twin flame scenario here, they are still, like, it doesn't have that one more split, it stays, and you receive that same information down the wire from, you are still independent, you are still whole as who you are. Remember, the divine made two individuals here. There's two individuals sharing that same house, or that same, they're being fed, they're plugging into the same port, so to speak. Now, what you're going to feel is that the energy within this group is going to feel very familiar, right? So to the left and to the right, there's going to be a vibe that travels all around this group, because remember, we are never not connected to the all and the everything. So amongst this group, these twins, like on this side, you're going to have a very close neighbor that might feel like a very close soulmate. And over on this side, you'll have a very close neighbor that feels like a soulmate. This is why we're able to attract different connections into our life, why some people resonate so closely to us. But maybe over here, who's resonated into your neighborhood as well, could be a karmic soulmate whose contract was to come and join the neighborhood, but be here solely to teach you the lessons that twin flames are required to learn. So I hope this little example gives you an idea. It's like when we go, where do karmics fit in? Where do soulmates fit in? Where do twin flames fit in? You all live in a neighborhood supplied with energy by the divine. And what separates you is whether you were initially one split, whether the divine scooped you one vessel, one soul, one person, and you're here to live your life and connect with soulmates and have your soul ascension journey take place in however it's been assigned to you, and karmics will have their own soul ascension journey taking place. But this karmic can trigger a soulmate journey over here. The frequency that belongs in this group of people will resonate. They'll feel familiar. They'll feel like home, and essentially, it's the it's plugging into where the divine lands in the center of this soulmate group, and that allows, and you all feed off that energy source, and it makes you feel like you're connected. Over the top of all you guys of this group of people will be soul contracts, okay, which is a whole nother conversation. But essentially, this group of people, you've made arrangements with each other to support each other in your walk upon the earth here. And there's things that you've agreed to meet at certain times. You've agreed to live in this neighborhood together and enact certain scenarios with which to bring you into higher consciousness. So clear as mud, right? I hope this is helping understand, because some of the most sincere questions I get is truly understanding, like these ideals of how we're connected to the quantum sea, how we're connected to why is looking at these things important for twins, is because if you can understand these ideals, you can help move yourself down the journey of understanding what the point of the twin flame journey is for you, and why certain people have come along to influence you. Any one of these people in here, I mean, you can meet somebody you can connect with somebody who's way over here and have a resonance, right? We're all connected at the end of the day. There's nothing that's not connected. If this is the provider of the all and the is, and you can see that everything's just a division of that, then you can start to understand why certain things happen the way they do. And why is it that your twin flame resonates with you so deeply, right? If you've gone through all of these divides and you are this far away from this point of reference, even though you're still connected, you might be going, I really don't know what I have in common with what's going on over there, right? But clearly what's going on here is hitting me like a ton of bricks. It's because you're going toe to toe with your own soul signature energy, and you are receiving the same signal down the wire. The kicker is, what do we do with it? How do we get to manage it? How do we hold a vibration so pure? And that is part of what this journey is about. Now, in other lovely drawings that I'm going to create for you, I'm going to talk about how different mergings take place that help you hold the vibration of a twin flame connection. But we'll dive into that a little bit more. This was solely to lay some foundations of how the divine has shown me twin flame energy travels down the wire and why we feel it so intensely. Hope it's been helpful for you too. Okay, so the third part of this information, if you've hung in this far with these drawings, hopefully they're making sense, and I'm really hoping that they're helping anyone who struggles with these ideas. Right, the third part of this story is one that I bang on about a lot, and that is the power of the void and understanding oneness and separateness. So hopefully, with the first part of what I've sort of talked about is you understand that the oneness is always there. In 5D, you share this one soul blueprint, even though it has this split. And know that, like, within the split, you are perfectly whole. You know, like you have masculine and feminine within the split, but you manage separate aspects of the polarity when you travel down to the earth plane. So there you are, you've traveled down to the earth plane. Now, this doctrine will play out slightly differently to everybody, so do not fear if your journey has been affected by karmics and triggered by anything other than actually how this event plays out in this sequence. Twin flames have recognizable patterns, but not every person experiences it the exact same way. But essentially, you come down to the earth plane and you are living your version of the journey as agreed until the soul contract says you are to come back together. Now, what should come back together is this nice, even, balanced version of twin flames, but normally what comes back together is some kind of catalytic event. The frequencies are difficult to hold, and then what happens is it comes apart again. Now, this event can happen with a karmic, red hot, acknowledge it fully. But then it comes apart, and there you are living your independent lives again, learning and growing and ascending with spirit. So it's happening normally if we're referring to this to the feminine side, normally they have awareness first, and here's the masculine side, they generally follow behind. But the goal is to be able to bring these connections back into a level of harmonious union where you can live on the planet in the 3D plane down here, happy and harmonious together. You get to enjoy all the great parts of being twin flames, the wonderful connection that you share and all those great things. But it will not occur if you cannot solve this equation, right? This is the kicker. You have to be able to have the right frequency playing out between you to be able to hold the connection. If there remains a disharmony in the frequency that exists between you, then these connections, they'll come apart again, right? So the whole kicker of the scenario is to do everything that you need to do, learn everything that you can possibly learn to be able to hold the baseline of harmonious union. Now, that's a very important concept, and we can dive into that more a little later, but essentially what I wanted to be able to explore now is the void, right? So we are now here on the earth plane, right? But we're understanding that we're energy. We've dropped down, there's our union safe and sound, but here this energy has hit the earth plane, and here we're sitting at our polarities, right? And here's masculine energy, here's feminine energy. Now, what it feels like is that there's nothing in between, right? It feels like there's the higher consciousness. It feels like that to connect, you have to go back up here, you have to go back up here, and that there's the 5D feels alive and well, that you have telepathy and you feel things and you sense things and you get signs and symbols, all of that kind of stuff. But it feels like there's nothing here. But here's what I say over and over again. There is not nothing in the nothing. Guess what's in the nothing? Latent potential, right? The divine wire that exists between the all and the everything, right? And remember that when you came down here, your particular vibration resonated really, really highly with each other, because the harmonics of it is the same, or the frequency is the same. You vibe on the same level. Is it necessarily harmonious at this point? Probably not. It could be dancing a lot if you're sitting in separation and you're not understanding that it needs to be balanced. It's probably dancing about all over the place, and it's having some level of imbalance. So what happens when it comes into disharmony or a level of imbalance is that you feel the separateness, right? You feel the separateness and you feel the pull, like polarities on a magnet. Now, if we're sitting in here, these two things normally want to come together, right? positives and negatives, or masculine and feminine, they normally want to pull together. Forces, opposing forces like that want to pull together. So what happens is, because of the way the feminine is wired and what she understands, is it actually, she goes, yeah, I feel the pull, I feel the pull. So what I'll do is I will close the gap, right? There's not a nothing in the nothing. There's something here that needs, there's a force that exists between them. Now, how the particle theory makes this make sense, right, is what they've done is exactly like a twin flame. They've split a particle and they've put them miles apart. They're up to 20 miles apart. And a scientist applied a force over here. Now, it looks like there's nothing in the nothing, same as twins. Looks like there's nothing in the nothing. And if the scientist applied a force here, and what happened is this particle over here started vibrating the exact same way. Twins are no different. If you apply a force here, Divine Feminine, where you are learning and growing and ascending, it will have an effect on your masculine the exact same way. But here's the kicker. That's what's happening automatically. That's what's happening in the oneness, right? We can understand those principles and lock them in and go, that's the oneness. What we can't wrap our heads around normally, I'm speaking very generally, is the separateness, because the 3D wants to pull you over to the masculine side. You feel that pull, and it feels counterintuitive to do anything other than chase after this energy. It almost, like, it does feel like a pull on your chest, and it wants to drag you forward, right? And it feels counterintuitive to do anything but drag before it. But if we really want to balance out this energy, it cannot be all going this way, because you won't be able to hold that vibration. Hi, Charlie. Keep going. Sorry. He stopped by to say hello. Okay, so what we essentially want, this when it looks like this, it's a connection out of balance, and this is what we call our chaser energy. And this person does not need to do anything, because he can keep going this way, right? And while you keep doing this and filling all the void in between, he can keep running and you'll keep chasing. This gap will never close. What we need to do is bring it into a level of balance. So then when the tables flip, and this is why the feminine gets the advice not to chase, not to stalk, not to, but to just focus on her ascension journey, because as particle theory tells us, what we do over here affects what happens over here. So what we want to do is essentially, we want these two to be able to meet in the middle, right? But while the feminine does all the work and fills that gap with all her energy, the masculine has no need to turn around and put energy into the connection. He can sit out on his wing all day long if the feminine's going to do all the work for the connection. And we don't want that. We want these guys distributing energy evenly into the connection and feeling the vibration move between them in a fair exchange. We want what's coming towards the feminine to be returned. You know, we want lovely harmony between the two. We want this energy between them to be full and in an even exchange. We want it to go back and forth between them, not all headed this way, right, which is chaser energy, which will just keep the masculine facing this way. He can run all day while you feel the void until he feels this gap, right? Until he feels the void. He has no need to turn around. But when he feels the void, he goes, hang on, what's happened? He turns around and has a look. He turns around and has a look, and by this point, the feminine is probably facing this way. So this is why we describe the reverse energy happening with runners and chasers. The energy goes this way, and the feminine is left going, how far do I run before this turns into an energy where I can offer a fair exchange? So where the energy is moving fairly and just between us. And that takes time and practice and patience, and it is solved by continually learning to ascend and grow, right? Not chasing, not browbeating, not standing there saying you must understand. None of that works. None of it works. The only thing that brings these connections into harmonious union is when the exchange of energy in the void is fair and even. And divine feminine, if you want to collapse that gap continually for your divine masculine, he will continue to run. He will run and run and run and run, because there's no reason whatsoever for him to turn back around and balance the connection. So to balance the connection, you actually have to do something that feels horribly, horribly counterintuitive, and you have to hold the void, right? There's not a nothing in the nothing. There will always be the connection. The connection will always exist between you. Particle theory tells us that, right? But what we don't want to do is flood this with energy that makes our masculine want to run. We want this energy to be a fair exchange in between. Hope that's resonating, and if it doesn't, please do ask more questions, because this is one of the biggest ideals around runner and chaser, that it's all just energy. It's got nothing to do with what you say. It's got nothing to do with, well, it does, don't get me wrong there, but like there's no magic pill that you can take to fix this. It's an energy balancing, and you have to understand what it is that you're balancing before you can actually get the scenario right. So for what it's worth, it's if you can hold the void and not collapse into it, it will stop this runner chaser dynamic, and in fact it will flip it. And once it's flipped, then the pair of you can work together on making it balanced. So that's really it for this first introduction to these concepts. Like, if this is useful, let me know. Like, if the idea of giving it a visual as well as a dialogue is helpful, let me know that this is I just want to help. So if it's useful, let me know. Now, what I will do, developing these ideas further, is going, what is it on this, ascension path that you learn about? And there was an idea that I've been bringing up that is about energy merges, and it's about, and I want to talk about signposts in the journey, things that happened to me that were significant, that I could really lean on and go, yeah, that makes sense in the doctrine, and it was something that I could reliably lean on to say that I'm making progress. So if this is information that you want to know, I want to continue to provide information as best I can, and as much as I'd love to be talking face to face, I think the way Spirit showed me these concepts was by drawings. It was like by giving me diagrams and by giving me information to actually make it make sense of why we were doing what we're doing. So here's the first of them, and we'll see how they go. And look, we'll be updating with a reading very soon. And till we talk to you next time, in faith, hope, and love from me, it's bye for now.